Last month, astrologer Val Evans describes eerie clues ahead of the January 7th Los Angeles fires.
This could even be around a redhead. People are incensed.
This is heat. This is the fire element. It can mean sudden things around the house that could happen. They're emergency helicopter pilots. Leo's a mountain. I don't think anybody is seeing this coming. Welcome, everyone. I'm Val Evans. This is Astrology and Crime, and it is Wednesday, January 15th. I will be showing you how to see prophetic clues in an event chart, which can show you how to make your own predictions in your charts. A special thanks to the members that make this show possible, the valedictorians. If you'd like to become one and support me, just click the join button. Now, I wanted to just get this out of the way real quick. Where is it? I'm going to be participating in the Psychic Symposium from January 17th to the 19th. A group of psychic investigators talk about their backgrounds, their skills, their cases. Is going to be super interesting. So make sure to check it out. It's a 3-day event, so I hope you can join us. And we're going to talk about Uranus a lot tonight. You know how I usually talk about this planet, the planet of prophecies of the future. It is the symbol of the future. So we're going to be talking about that. I've got the Lahaina fire chart tonight. And I've got times when people were able to make predictions. So we're going to talk about Joe Rogan's prediction last July on his show. We'll talk about Princess Diana's prediction, eerie prediction about the one that she made before her death, and even astrologer William Lilly's prediction about the Great London fires. So I think you'll be interested in these. Now, the Lahaina fires were a disaster that took place in Lahaina, Hawaii, and there were over 100 deaths, and at least 2,200 buildings were destroyed. It was awful. We would see a lot of things on social media about people swimming in the ocean, watching their homes burn. It was awful, and so I'm sure a lot of you caught that. So I'm going to look at that chart. Welcome, everybody. Hi, Melanie. Marie's here. KK, Buckeye, Clay fan, Marie, and I love the conversations pre-show. Glad you can connect. Buddha prayers for peace and happiness. Thanks, Marie. And let me see. There we go. Very nice. We need some Buddha prayers. Thank you, Marie. And Shauna, nice to see you. Okay, so we've got a group here now. Let's get started. And we're talking about Uranus, but now I'm going to go to the Lahaina chart after I explain this. All right, so we're going to be seeing blue lines, which would be like trines or sextiles to Uranus. And this is a good thing. This means you're able to make a prediction. You're able to foresee something, okay? In your natal chart, you might have it, and it might give you some kind of indication that you have some kind of ability to see into the future somehow. And so sometimes the moon will be positioned near Uranus, and it can mean a famous prediction, which is the moon, fame, or the public learns about it. And then Pluto with the moon is a very, very famous prediction. So sometimes you see that connected with Uranus in some of these charts. Now, if you see a red line, which would be poorly aspected Uranus, this would be a square, an opposition, an octile, then it's a pretty big shock that would be impossible to foresee. So that's kind of like no, it's coming, but you can't really see it. So kind of nerve-wracking when you see these things in some of these charts. Okay. So this is the Lahaina chart, and interesting, you might have caught the last show that I did with Amber on the fires, and the the LA chart is a Leo chart. So now this chart is the event chart for the Lahaina fires. So of course the ascendant would be in a fire sign, which is Leo. Now it can be in other fire signs when you see the element of fire. It can be Sagittarius, Aries, or Leo. I often see, a group of planets in Leo or Sag more often than not. But Aries too. So this is the event chart. Like I said, I'm going to mark this up real quick, and we are looking at this little trio here. It's kind of crazy. It's sort of like the same thing I'm seeing with the LA fires, where there is a female in the mix. It's a bad female because of the Black Moon Lilith in there. When you have a square to Black Moon Lilith, oof, this is somebody who is no good and is not able to foresee what is coming. And so you could see that here with the square to Uranus. And I'm going to show you. So that's what I'm talking about. And there's Uranus up there, and it is a shock, 22 degrees. This is the killer be killed degree. Conjunct the moon is a famous shock. And remember when I said Pluto? Well, Jupiter is sort of like Pluto. It's an expansion. It is big. It means big. So it is a lot of fame. It is a very, very famous shock. Notice that it's in Taurus. Uranus has been in Taurus for some time now. Taurus means trees. And so we're seeing some things that have to do with trees and bushes. Now let's look at this chart as if we could, and there could be another explanation for this, but it looks like there's some blue lines there. It looks like there's a trine, and seems like a group of people. Could be two people. Could be two people with Mars there and a trine. Sometimes it's like somebody who's fighting, somebody who's an activist, somebody who could be a warrior of some sort. And with the Uranus here, this is something famous, somebody who foresaw something famously. Now, this could have actually applied to the Lahaina fires. And I think that there were a couple of people who were able to see this coming. And I believe also we saw that one house that had a changed the roof and was able to save. It was like one house out of 1,000. So that could have been a clue there. But notice too, in the first house, this is the identity of the event. And what do you know? We've got Mercury, which means twin. This will be a twin event. And I think that would be the LA fires, the Palisades. So this is a famous tree in Lahaina, and this is, I believe it was a gift from India, a very spiritual tree. And it's hard to even look at because it's so sad, but they were able to rehabilitate the tree. The tree is still standing and alive. So that was also big in the news there, the shock to the tree. Now, here is when it comes to the Malibu fires that were happening just days ago, we have a warrior brain surgeon saved his Malibu street from wildfires and looters. So I think that this Virgo is a healthcare worker. Oh, a warrior healthcare worker was able to, foresee what was coming. Now, I believe he was prepping for like 15 years for this, but this could have been an event where he really kind of stepped it up, but it would show what would happen in the future where people could foresee what was going to happen and save their house, which is what he did. He saved a bunch of houses in Malibu. And there was a group, it was him and his son and a couple of other people, some of the neighbors. And there's the two. So they managed to do it. Very dangerous and risk their lives for their home. So, all right. So if you're looking at your own predictions, you want to go to your solar return chart for a lot of them. And that's what I teach on this channel. So you're going to go to AstroSeek, you go to solar return of your last birthday, and then you click on the tab that says solar only. Don't get it mixed up, because then you're going to be really confused. If you haven't had your birthday yet, then just go to the year before, because it's going to be 2 years in that chart. It usually is. Okay, so this is William Lilly. This is an astrologer, one of the most famous astrologers. And he predicted, this is his solar return chart. Can you believe it? It's from 1666. He had his birthday in May. So this is the chart ruler, which is Venus. Why? Because his ascendant is in Taurus. And look at all of that Sag. That's a big fire. And especially when something's in the 8th house, this is death. So many deaths. And 1666 fire it is believed, was started inadvertently by a baker. And it just got out of control and burned the whole city down. Okay, so here's the prediction. And what had happened was Lilly had made the prediction for the fires a few years earlier. And so you can see that Jupiter, it rules his 9th house of publications. It's retrograde, so it's from the past, and it's a past prediction. And it would be made famous. You can see that blue sextile there to the moon. Very famous. And also there is, let me see. Did I get it? Well, there's also a trine to Pluto, which is super famous. It's kind of crazy, because keep in mind, the 6th house is court matters. And so he would be very famous going to court, because they're like, there's no way you could have predicted this without having started it. And so he had some court problems that year. He was accused. So there were some pros and cons to that year, but it was a very famous year for him. Okay, so let me check in for a second. Yes, William Lilly. Hi, musical Neptunian. I love that name. So, hey, CR user, nice to see you. Uranus in Leo, 10th house. Yes, I suffered a terrible house fire, lost 2 dogs in it 20 years ago. Accident, not my fault. Oh my gosh. It's such a tragic thing. People don't understand that there's such emotional value attached to things. I was going through a list of somebody who I kind of know on Facebook, and she was listing all the things that she didn't have anymore. I can't even talk about it, but just real sentimental things that people give you that you don't have anymore. So super, super difficult. Hey, Meg, nice to see you. Hello, Sydney, Australia. Kim, great to see you. Miko, Waters is here. Tana, Eleanor from London. And it was about time, don't you think, CR user? So let's see. Buck, I hope you're having a better day now. And yes, thank you, musical. Lily's biography is also on Internet Archive. Yeah. Eleanor, is such a good question. Sometimes I do look at the whole house system, but for what I do with predictions, I tend to just use Placidus, and that's also really good for looking at the degrees too. But the whole house system you can get other predictions using the whole house system. I subscribe to many different ways, many different methods. I don't think any of them are wrong. I think it's a great way to validate a chart or something that you're seeing in the chart. So yes, Angel, fire's absolutely devastating. It's crazy how a flame can light a candle, cook food, provide warmth, but a fire, I know. And the fires are still raging on in LA, still really high winds. That's one of the things they were talking about in the Lahaina fire. Very, very high winds. So it was part of the whole plot line there, I guess. So I want to talk about Princess Diana for a little bit. Now, this is her solar return chart, and it's really interesting For you, if you go into your old solar return charts and see when Uranus was in a trine, and you can see that sometimes you were able to make a prediction that came true. Sometimes, now the 12th house Lord often is, what you're dreaming. So if the 12th house Lord is, let's say it's Mercury, which would be here. If it was conjunct Uranus, it's not really connected here, but it would be like dreaming about something. So you can have prophetic dreams if that year your 12th house Lord is in good aspect with Uranus, Uranus representing a prediction. A lot of people had those around September 11th. I was one of them the night before. Very, very clear dream about two planes and lots of fire. I can picture this dream, and I don't really remember dreams very well, but it was a horrible, horrible dream. And, it's crazy how other people talk about some kind of clue they had 24 hours before. Now, in this case, this is Princess Diana's chart for the last months of her life. And by the way, this is 1996, one of the last photos we would see of her. Okay. So this is October, and October is the month where she wrote to her bodyguard saying that she's afraid that somebody is going to kill her. And so Venus rules that month, but you can also see a lot of lines going through that. One line you see is Uranus, and it is trining Chiron, which means to wound. It means wounds. It means to hurt. And so Uranus is also an accident. So being wounded by an accident killed 8 degrees, the Scorpio degree. So she's seeing ahead. Notice how Uranus is in the 7th house. And I believe Princess Diana said something like, not only is it going to happen and it is my partner, but my partner's going to get away with it too. And so you can see that part of fortune is getting away with something. It's success. And you can see that Uranus represents a partner that year. So that's what she is dreaming about. Kind of crazy. With a sextile to Pluto. No, it's a trine to Pluto. I'm sorry, to Saturn. Saturn is, it means that people would see that, the 10th house, for a very long time. They'd be talking about it for a long, long time. I mean, how many years is it now? We're still talking about it. So this would be a prediction that would be seen and talked about for a very, very long time. So now this is Joe Rogan. Did you guys hear how he was saying something like, you can pull it up on YouTube, where he's like, I was talking to a firefighter and he told me that if the winds are just right, the whole area could be burned down. And he was right. So this is Joe Rogan's solar return chart. He was a Libra rising that year. And this is going to go, his birthday, let's see, 2023. Sorry, this is 2020. This should be 2024. This is the 2023 chart that goes to 2024. And so what we would do is you just look at what month it is. So this is the month where he would be talking about the prediction. And you can see that so Mercury rules that month. So you would look at Mercury. Mercury is the Lord of Virgo. And check out how you can see that trine to Uranus. And not only is it a prediction, but it's 22 degrees, which is being able to predict, people being killed. And also, what is he talking about? Well, Mars is talking about a firefighter and talking about fire. And so, he has this prophecy here that he's talking about. So, yeah, that would be July 19th was when he broadcast last July, I believe. Might have been, let me see here. Joe, I'm pretty sure it was last July. I want to double check. Yeah, it was last July. Okay. So what do you guys think of that? Shawnee, you said, I don't even remember dreams either, Val, sometimes, but normally no. Maybe it's a Pisces thing. I know. We're dreaming day and night. We don't know when we're awake. And Shawnee, you said, here in Indiana, we're getting more snow than we have had in years. Record breaking. I haven't left my drive in a week. It's just wild. And, Mercury is in Capricorn right now. Capricorn means snow. So we're all thinking we're either sad, we're working hard, Capricorn, or we're cold. I mean, it is cold. I'm in Galveston. I'm freezing. And we're supposed to get snow. Hey, Margaret, thanks for joining us. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm really scared, Angel says, about Joe talking about all those AI robots that allegedly clone their operator's voice to request codes to connect to the satellite and download and upgrade to their own ops, allegedly. Let's hope that when it does happen, it's during Mercury retrograde. But I don't know. The universe tends to help the Earth save itself. Right now, it is, we're in some weird times. We really are. Send the snow to Massachusetts. We don't have any. That's kind of crazy. Usually by now you do. Don't say that. Be careful what you wish for. Okay, so this is the other part of Joe's chart. And you can see who couldn't make the prediction. Now, we have all of these Leos here. I think, now Leo, obviously, this is fire. And here is Venus with Black Moon Lilith again, another bad girl, the shock to the bad girl. And this is really high up in the degrees of Leo. So these are powerful people, and it shows that they are zapped. They're being fired. Uranus is to fire, but it's also not being able to foresee. And that's often why people do get fired, I suppose. So, and it's also, if you think about it from a simple standpoint, the baseline is a shocking fire. So got all kinds of meanings there. Okay, so next thing I wanted to go through is the return of Spidey House. Spencer Pratt and Heidi Montag went from washed up to number one during the LA fires. Some of you have been following this. This couple has been around for a long time. I was actually surprised that they lived out there. I did not know that. It seems like, even though it seems like they weren't really A-list in the last few years, or whenever they were famous, we haven't seen them in a while. They kind of disappeared, but they had this beautiful house and family. And so they just talked about losing their home on Good Morning America. And, it's heartbreaking. But this is the crazy thing about the universe. And I'm sure that people who lost everything and they're seeing this and the same thing isn't happening to them, it can also be extra devastating. When you're seeing somebody else have the ability to make lemonade out of lemons. Well, Heidi's fans banded together and made her song from 15 years ago number one. Crazy. So they're getting some financial help. So their charts are just phenomenal. Of course, you see red lines everywhere, and you're going to see blue lines everywhere. So it's like, this happens, it's devastating, but you're going to basically, you're going to achieve the dream that you had a long time ago. But what I wanted to do was look at Spencer Pratt's solar return chart. There he is. Now, this is August 14th, 2023. And this is the year before, this comes up till July of last year. All right. And so this would be something that was going to happen in the next year. And so you can see kind of the same types of aspects that are happening with Joe's. So there's, there are all of these people here. But this is the month. Let me see. So August, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. So this would be around the June time frame for him. And again, these people are fighting. It's in his chart, but he is not able to foresee, what's ahead. Now, Venus is his chart ruler. That's why I put that there. So I highlighted Venus because Venus is the chart ruler, keeping in mind it's retrograde. So he's not at full capacity. He, the chart ruler, is just in shock. You can see that Uranus there. That's real devastation there. He would not be able to see the future there. So kind of crazy. And also, it does show too when the 12th house has a lot of planets in it. Mars represents Heidi. She's in the 12th house. You can't really see her that much, but there are really nice aspects that show that she is going to be helped. She's going to be okay. But the 12th house tends to show when you are going to have a loss. Wow. He's got some tough aspects in his chart. He's got a big T square here. And, when you have Jupiter conjunct Uranus, it can be really amazing, really good. Like it is huge change that's good. It can also mean a really fast thinker too, and somebody who can be prophetic and a visionary. But with red lines in the chart, it can show that during your life, you're going to have particularly large shocks. Yeah. So we want to go to 2001 here. Look at all of that Aquarius there. This is an accident. And you can see Uranus is in a trine. There's an ability to talk about a prediction. And remember how the moon trining Uranus is a famous prediction. He died in August. So what we would do, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. So it would be right in here in our 8th house. This is a death prediction. I think she made it a couple months before Pluto. Yeah, she made it when in the 5th house, and Pluto is sextiling the moon because she's talking to a publication. Pluto is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius means a publication. So she's talking about something. And I believe she said that she dreamed about something where everything was black and nobody was watching her, nobody was listening to her, and it was a very peaceful feeling. So Neptune is dream, Mercury is talking about a dream, and Uranus is the ability to see it. So keeping in mind, she is the moon. So moon trining Uranus is the chart ruler. Aaliyah is able to see what is coming up. Oof. So sad and haunting. So do you guys see that? 8th house being the death house. Kind of crazy. She died in the Bahamas, and the pilot was not even, I don't think he was even licensed to fly. He was not supposed to fly that plane. They originally said there was too much luggage, but there were other factors too, I think. I know. She was like an angel. That's right. She didn't want to get on the plane. Thanks, Angel. Yep. So that is just yet another example of the ability to make a prediction. Hopefully, we're not going to be able to predict our own deaths. We don't want to really think about it, but there are other things that we can predict too, that are really good. What our future is about could be something about a husband, which would be Jupiter. Jupiter in a nice aspect to Uranus would be a future husband that's coming in. And hopefully Black Moon Lilith isn't attached to it. And yeah, so I want to just get an update on the fires real quick. And oh, by the way, remember how I was saying that the charts for Lahaina were twin charts? Well, not only was there a lot of wind, but there was also, I believe, both to some degree. There's different reasons that the LA fires were started, but it seems as if there was an electrical problem in both fires. So we're going to continue to see twinning, I think, with Lahaina, and the fact that LA is in Lahaina is kind of weird. Flame stoking winds. There we go.
The larger Palisades fire at 19% containment and counting. Search and rescue teams canvassing burn zones with 26 people still missing. For the families who lost everything, today, a turning point.
We have school today.
The Dale family getting their girls ready for their first day back at a brand new campus.
So the fires have killed at least 25 people so far and swept through 40,000 acres in greater Los Angeles, destroying more than 12,300 structures. Firefighters are still working to contain the blazes. Now, there's also an article that came out today. Some of these firefighters and the fire trucks were held back initially with when the Palisades was first an alert. And so a lot of people are getting criticized. A lot of people are going to be fired, I think, with that Uranus square there we've been seeing. Like in Joe Rogan's chart, that shows a lot of people. I mean, not only the kings, but also firefighters too. Eleanor, it's a good question. Eighth house is really going to give a lot of information. But when you see Saturn square moon, it could be anybody. It could be a coworker. Usually when there's a really hard aspect with Saturn, it can show either a real deep depression or, death. So I usually don't like to say much about it in my readings, because sometimes it's just a depression about a parent. So, and speaking of my readings, you can go to, let me see. Forensic, not that one. I'm actually rebranding, so don't go to that one. You can go either to find me. You can go to astrologywithval.as.me for readings, and you can go to Amber, her YouTube, or you can just email Amber Chad. No, that's the old one. Sorry. astrologywithval.as.me, and I believe for Amber, you can find it in the description box. I've got to redo this one. Yeah. Thanks, Eleanor. CR user, my son is Cancer 8th house. The fire we suffered enabled us to relocate to San Francisco Bay for work and buy a house there. That is amazing. Yeah, sometimes, there's a big, harsh cutoff, and there's a reason for that. So, Meg, I have looked at the California government chart. You can check out the last fire charts I did. I think I looked at it on that one. And that is the one I did with Amber about the evil politician. Yeah, I looked at the LA. I was surprised it's like 1700s when they have the birth chart began. So, yeah, it's kind of crazy. So check that one out. Thanks, Angel. That's all I needed you to do, right? And yeah, definitely. We do solar return charts. We look at who's happy this year, who's not so great. Don't bother them. They're going through their own thing. Things that are going to happen for you in the future. Whether you're going to be really excited about something, maybe you're going to get a new job, maybe you're going to move, and that's Uranus, that's also Aquarius. So open up your solar return chart, look for Aquarius, and look for Uranus. And those are the areas where you're probably going to make a change. If there's a lot of red lines going through it, it could be a harsh change, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be you. It could mean someone else is going through, it could be like your sister's going through a big thing in court or what have you. So you have to just make sure you know the lords of each house. And keeping in mind, if it's siblings, the 11th house lord is your older sister or brother. 3rd house is younger. And then 5th house is the next younger. 7th house is the next younger. So, so that's how you could see, who's doing what this year. Oh, Gavin Newsom. No, I haven't looked at him. It's a good idea, though. Whoa, musical Neptunian. You said, I've lived through Ash Wednesday fire in 83. Fellow Melbourneite. That is crazy. Yes. Thank you, Angel. That's Taurus Moon Tarot 761. You don't have to put in that other stuff, but that's how you get to. That must be the link from YouTube. I know. Angel, you said it's terrifying. We moved to Melbourne in 2013 and the whole place was in fire that summer. That's crazy. We'll have to look at that, the Melbourne fire. But I think it is so wild about how, especially with the Great Fire of 1666, of course, 666 is in there. And it's just crazy with all of that Sagittarius. And yeah, the William Lilly chart. I mean, this is a lot of fire deaths. And when there's an opposition to, especially an outer planet like Pluto, it means too many. Like it's too many to count. It's just, I mean, I think bodies were piled up. And you can also see how there's a T-square, which is a huge, huge problem. You wonder what this 18 degrees is with Black Moon Lilith here. And let's see, Pluto represents the 7th house for William Lilly. So we're looking at William Lilly's birth chart. And yeah, it seems as if somebody really doesn't like his predictions. That's what I would get out of it. I think they threatened arrest with him. So there was somebody in the court, 6th house court. You could also, if you had Black Moon Lilith in the 9th house, that's also court. So I always say, keep an eye on Black Moon Lilith in your solar return chart. Now, here's another thing. If you have it in your 1st house, which Diana did right here, she was seen as a very bad girl that year. And look at the opposition with the ruler of her partner, which would be Prince Charles at the time. He also had that bad energy. I mean, we're talking devious. So bullying, because whenever you have an opposition with Leo, anything in Leo, it's going to show some kind of bullying. And so they might have been bullying each other. And because of the Uranus there, it's like a shock. It's like, oh my God, you see something in the news that she's doing, or, a shock of some sort that Prince Charles at the time was doing. But, Black Moon Lilith is basically, it's an indicator of how people are going to see you. Certain people are going to see you that year. So, if it's in the 1st house, it's kind of really like out there. Now, I believe Black Moon Lilith was in the 1st house for Marilyn Monroe. So she was kind of like, the other woman, the bad girl, natally. But also can show someone who is very attractive, especially that year. Suddenly she's wearing those, take that type of dress. And now if it's in the 2nd house, Black Moon Lilith, that can be something that's financial that is not right. It could be a financial advisor, could be some type of a financial issue that is not correct. So you have to keep an eye on your money. And 3rd house would be a sibling, a neighbor. 4th house, maybe somebody staying in your home, somebody coming into your home. And you have to be careful. You just, buy a small camera. And what's great about the solar return charts is that you could see what month it is. So you can kind of, instead of being like, oh God, this could happen within the whole year, you can kind of narrow it down to 1 or 2 months when something could happen. 5th house is suddenly something happens and a family member is just like, say what? Like they're doing something, you don't understand what they're doing, why they're doing what they're doing. They attend the wedding of your ex-husband's or something like that. They just, Black Moon Lilith, it's wild animal energy. They do not care. 6th house would be a coworker. Seventh house is a partner is not acting correctly that year. It doesn't matter if it's, to me, squares, poorly aspected or well aspected. It's still a plan. And so you just have to keep your eyes open. Eighth house, it can be a realtor, somebody who's like, sorry, we're not going to be able to sell your house, but then is the person that wants to buy the house cheap. Somebody who has an evil plan. Ninth house. Well, that would be the year when I wouldn't get married if it was in the ninth house of marriage. But it's also the court too. So can show you're in some kind of court scenario where it's just like, it doesn't make sense. And somebody in there is not on your side. 10th house is in your career. 11th house is a friend. And the 12th house is an interesting one. It could be someone you can't see. And at the same time, I'm trying to think. Pretty much, yeah, you can't see that person that year. And you would have to see the aspects to the other part of the chart to see where that person is or who that person is to you. So, yeah. Musical, you said Lilly had some powerful friends in British Parliament on his side who probably saved him. Yes. Yeah, he had some money. What's weird, though, with that chart, that William Lilly chart, is that it shows that his money was stopped. Or that, I know he had money, but that year it was like cut because of Saturn opposing Venus, which can mean not making that much money. So maybe he was so busy fighting the court battle that he couldn't make as much money. Yeah, Musical said, another curious thing about Lilly, his mathematics used to do astrology appears in many old mathematics textbooks. That's crazy. I did not know that. We've got a Lilly expert here. I love it. And thanks, Angel D. 90 people watching. Please remember to hit the thumbs up and turn on notifications to all. Thank you. So that's all I have tonight. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. Sorry I didn't have the Aaliyah one, but I think you kind of got the idea. We pulled up her chart. So much Aquarius. Don't forget the Psychic Investigation Symposium. And Musical, you said, okay, that's another conversation. You said about the fires. If you've huge fires in Melbourne over the years, sadly, we're very vigilant nowadays. It's going to be really interesting with regard to LA. And I think we already know who these females are. Could be more than one, but there is just, this female is about to quit, I think. Or get probably fired. So kind of weird how the fire signs often mean you're fired. Just like Trump likes to say. It's one of his favorite sayings. So good to see everybody. And hopefully you'll join me and Amber on Friday, every Friday at 4:30 Eastern and 9:30 BST. So talk to you guys soon.